Hi, this is Leah Myers of Myers Design Studio, and today we're going to be doing the Ice Star Quilt. And I've designed this quilt into two different sizes. You have a block that's 6.5 inch, 6.5 inches, or the other block is 8.5 inches. And it comes in, you can make it in two different quilt sizes. The 6.5 inch block will make a 48 inch size quilt, and the 8.5 inch block will make a 64 by 64 inch quilt. Now the 8.5 inch block is based on 2.5 inch strips. So all the strips that you need are 2.5 inches for the piece sections, except for this would be the background color, except for this one. This is a 3.5 by 8.5 inch piece. It's a rectangle, 3.5 by 8.5 rectangle. And I subcut these, and you can count how many you get. I got not 9. Let's see, 2, 4, 6 pieces. No, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 out of that one, out of a strip of width of fabric, 3.5 by 8.5. And this one I got 9. The smaller rectangle, which is right up here. And so I used the half square triangle method made out of strips, and I have a video on that one. But basically, you sew on both sides of the strip. You sew both sides of the strip, and then you subcut the long side of the strip, the long side. And I'm just going to pretend I've sewn this one too. Or no, I'll just sew. I'll just demonstrate it right now. Let's do that. Let's go crazy. And I won't do the whole strip because you don't have to watch me sew it, but you can see it in more detail in another video I did. And I have a string that's going to cause me trouble because the string should be under the foot and out of the way. So anyway, I'll just demonstrate that real quick. And sew this just long enough to cut two units. Okay, stop. And you just continue all the way down, because I've designed this quilt to just sew, just sew down strips and then subcut and then chain piece. I mean, I made this to where you could just sew and not just do this fiddly piecing all the time. So I'm just gonna do this as a demonstration. And it's real simple. You can do it a couple ways. You can like cut out the template like this and then put it underneath a triangle ruler like that. Let me do it the right way. And I did it on the end that was away from the numbers. It doesn't matter which way. But you can, and then that way you can like each time get the right amount without really doing a lot of work. That's for the 6.5 though, and I need 2.5 for this one. So, and I'm using this little Creative Grids ruler, folded corner clipper, designed by Susan Nelson. That's what I did. So along this straight line, and I'll put it in this middle right here so you can see. Along this straight line, you want this line, the long line, to be there. So let's start this off and get an angle. We need a 45-degree angle to start with. Let me point it towards me. Oh boy. I'm all left. I got no coordination today. You're gonna have to forgive me. This video is gonna be fun. So I have one angle cut, and so I want this long line to be on that one. And so you see that this has a 2.5 inch. I'm going to be cutting this a little bit away from the 2.5 inch because I want to square this up at the end. And it's not quite 1/4 inch. Or you can also just cut it up to the top, you know, where the top stitches are, and that will give you enough room because this is a 2.5 inch strip. Okay, and I need 2 of these, so I'm gonna cut 2. Do this all on camera. Why not? And then for this one, I'm just gonna cut this to the lines up here, making sure that I have my stitches on that line on the bottom, all straight. So if you're a little wobbly when you make the stitches on the strips, you don't have to worry as long as you lined it up down here. Now I have a trick. It's real simple. Iron one seam one way and iron the other seam the other way. So iron one to the dark like that, and then iron the other one towards the light. And I've got to make myself do that because I'm really programmed to always iron towards the dark. Okay, just like this. So that, and I'll flip this over, so that when you make these together and you flip them over like that, they will nest. And I'll clip these little ends up. I still need to square these up though. So let's square them up first. Get out of order here. Okay, now I'm going to use my Omni Grids, my really older ruler. I don't particularly like the yellow. The yellow side. So I'm going to just do one side if I can get it. Nope, I'm going to have to do 2. Because I noticed that it wasn't lining up on the bottom, so I'm going to square this side and then square the other one. And that 45-degree angle, goes on there. And make sure you see it in the camera. Yes. 2.5. Make sure it's 2.5. 2.5. There we go. And see, I just have a little bit, not a lot. Right? Right. I didn't quite get that. I need to change out my blade, I think. But for now, and then square up the other one real quick. And maybe I can get away with one side, cutting only one. With this one, I sure can. This one will lines up really nice on one side, so all I have to do is one. There we go. If you have a problem with if they're not all lining up, you could just scoot it over a little bit and square off 2 sides. And I'm just going to cut this and go ahead. Okay, so now I want make sure I have the right one, because I have to make sure I have it the right one out, and I want my light parts touching. So I'll turn it over, and I do this all chain piece. And then what I do, I chain piece all of these, and what I do is I just put a little pin on the side I'm going to sew right here. I'm gonna pin that, and I put them all in a little stack. I just stack them up. Let's get rid of some of this stuff and sew this together. And now that I've sewn those opposite ways, they nest like that really nice. Okay, and just sew 1/4 inch, making sure I'm all lined up here, making sure, yep, and then sew to the edge, make sure. I was kind of sewing away from the edge over there. Okay. All right. Cut that off, and it doesn't matter which side I iron this to. I just pick a side. Does not matter. Okay. Now, to complete this unit, I take to complete that unit, I take this, and then because it has to be make a point like that, right? And then I turn it over and I even it up with the bottom piece, and then I just take a pin and do this. And so now I have already prepared these little squares, and it's just 2.5 inches, 2.5 inch strips sewn to one side, right? Sewn to one side, and then I subcut them 2.5 inches so that I get a 4 square unit. And I didn't square these up at all. And I will iron these all to one side, to the dark side, like that, to the dark side. And that's how I do it. And I will do this like a few at a time. Like I'll prepare like four strips, two each, and then start preparing these units, and then I'll pile the units up together. And then I will, just do these in stages. I think you need 64 units, 64, sorry. And I nest the seams for the 4 square unit, nest the seams like that. And then I just put a pin in it like this, kind of crosswise. Like I put a pin right next to the stitching, and then across like that, so that it stays really nice. I don't do it right on the stitching. It creates a gap. That's just how I do it. Some people like to use those double pins. They have 2 little prongs. I've never used one of those, but some people use those. And do a 1/4 inch seam here. And I'm using a Singer 221. I bought myself a little gift, and I'm just gonna sew these 2 together as well. Bought myself a Christmas birthday gift, and so far it's worked out pretty fine. And I'll show you a picture. She's pretty. She's aqua color. Because the lighter colored Singers, the 221s, they only come in like tan or black. Yep, tan or black. Okay, so for this unit, which is, all right, let me just put these all out. Let me iron these, and I'll talk about iron this one. It does not matter which side you iron the 4 squares. But for this one, I found that it went together faster if I ironed, and it's not what you want to do. You iron towards the half square triangles. I know it's not what's intuitive, but this, and I'll show you why. It's because when you put these 2 together, and it's just how mine came out. Like, make sure I have this right, and I don't have it right. Okay, so, and this is how you have to lay it out. The light sides, you just have to remember, these have to make a little, like, this all has to match right here on this side. And that's how I kind of, when I was putting together, I was like, does this match? Does this match? And then the other one was, do these, does this make a long section here with the half square triangle there? And that's all I did. So I iron towards the half square triangles, and I'll show you. If you turn, oh, this didn't come out like normal. So I don't know why this one didn't come out. I've been doing this. I did this 1,000 times, and it would always. So I'm going to iron this to the light side. I don't know why it didn't come out the way. Normally, if I iron towards the half square triangles, this seam would always be the other way, and for some reason it didn't turn out that way this time. See, it's on the opposite. But anyway, if you find that whatever's fastest for you, when you're putting them together, it's just your process and my process. So just make sure this is like matching up like your diagram like this, because I have done this wrong a couple times. Anyway, so now that these sandwiches together, it nests, sandwich nest there, and then you just put a little pin in there, which I'm not going to do right now. I'm just going to go ahead and sew it. Make sure my my thread's out of my machine so I don't get a little nest. Yeah, I splurged and bought myself a painted 221, and for my birthday Christmas gift. So go ahead and iron this right here. It doesn't matter which side, right? And to finish this little unit, and this is all this block is made up of, put the top rectangle on top of this. And I tend to have all the pieces down, but you don't have to. And center it on there. And I always did. And I will do this all in, like chain piecing. And I didn't do all 64 pieces, at once. I just did a strip at a time. And then when I ran out of those units, I would stop and make more units, half square units or little triangles, rectangles, which are easy because they're just this. And the same for this. If I needed more, I'd just stop and cut more. Because I like to do things in stages. I don't like to do things all and count them all out. But if you want to, you can count them all out. This would be 64 units of these, not 64 of 4 squares, but 64 of the two squares, 64 2-square units. And the half square units too, 64 of those. But I did not cut them all at once. You can, but I don't know. It just, when you're doing a quilt and you're counting them all, you just want to kind of sit and sew instead of counting. So, but when I got towards the end, I kind of counted. I did make this. I started off making it a little more involved, and I thought I'll just give them the templates, tell them how to make the unit, tell them how to put the units together, and then they can choose whatever colors they want for the fabric, and whatever, it doesn't have to be a 2-color fabric. And demonstrate which strip size, and that's basically it. The 6.5 inches uses a 2-inch strip, and the 8.5 uses the 2.5-inch strip. But technically, you can construct both of them the same way. Okay, and this is it. This is the block. And when you complete the block, all you do is you put the half square triangles together like that, and then you piece them that way. And I'll just go ahead and do that and sew this together. I need to pin it a little bit. Matching the seams, and hopefully you're nesting the seams where the seams are ironed opposite ways, right? All right, and then you just put all of the blocks with the half square triangles pointing at each other, because it makes a little square in the middle right there. Just really super cute. Makes a little square. All right, and normally I use 3 pins. I'll pin the ends, I'll pin the middles, or wherever there are seams. so that I can keep them straight. All right, and this is going to be 1/2 of the units. Get my pattern pieces out of the way. I think I lost a ruler over there. All right, and then I just iron this one side, being consistent, whichever side I started with. And then there it is. There's 1/2 of the block, which you can see right here. But basically, it's all just this one block right there. And you just repeat it. And so for the second row, I started with the 1/2 block and then made a whole one. And the first row, I just did 4 of these blocks on the first row right here. So that's basically all this quilt is made of. And if you want to make it bigger, like a queen size, use the 6.5-inch blocks and repeat this 4 times. Then you'd have a nice queen size. If you want a king, you can use this, the 8.5-inch, and repeat it 4 times. 4 times this quilt pattern. And or if you just want a lap quilt or whatever or something, just add on to this basic size. But this gives you a really nice idea of how the blocks kind of wander into a diagonal pattern. It's kind of neat and nice. I was gonna say it not together, but anyway, it's just kind of a neat little quilt, and it's not difficult. And what's really neat is when people look at it, they'll be like, "How did she make that?" Because they'll be focusing on this. How did she piece those? It'd be kind of more difficult than it really is. But anyway, I appreciate you guys being here. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And I hope you enjoy the Ice Star Quilt. Bye for now.